Today I'm going to answer some FAQs about reintroducing foods on the Autoimmune Paleo Protocol, AIP diet, and show you what I ate for the last few days. So since I posted the last video about reintroducing foods on AIP, I've gotten a couple of questions. So one of the questions was, and I'm paraphrasing here, was there's so many spices and everything. This whole reintroduction process is going to take forever. Well, the thing is, you don't have to reintroduce every single spice and every single, everything. It's kind of like you take a couple. So let's take seed-based spices, for example. When I go to reintroduce them, I'm probably gonna do cumin and mustard, and maybe one other one, I don't know. And then if those pass fine, then I'm gonna just reintroduce all the rest of the seed-based spices. I'm going to assume at that point that I'm okay. When I do that, I'm going to just start cooking like normally with seed-based spices, and I'm gonna look for the same symptoms that you would look for in any other reintroduction. And if you have them, then I would go back to either the full elimination diet or back several food introductions to just see if you can get back to where you don't feel bad anymore, because maybe it is one of those things that you just reintroduced. But typically, if you've been able to reintroduce several things from like each stage, then you're probably okay to move on to the next stage. For me, I like to break apart some of the introductions. So like the fruit berry-based spices and then the seed-based spices, I do separately. So I'll introduce a little bit of each of those, and then I will do the egg yolks, and I'm doing the black pepper separately. I'm just gonna test a couple from each of the groups, and ghee will definitely be a separate own like week-long reintroduction itself. But then I will probably move on to stage 2 at that point. Another question I had was that I'm so busy, I don't really remember when things happen. I don't know like how I'm supposed to track these symptoms and know if like something is different. And my suggestion for that is to use a food journal. I have one, it's like a 30-day, I also have a 90-day journal up on my site. I'll link to it below. It's meant for like a 30-day kind of effort, but it really works for reintroductions as well, because there are sections here for notes and all of the things that you ate, and so you can really note your symptoms and your energy level and all those different kind of things. It's just a really helpful tool to journal at this point, to know that you can go back 3, 4, 5 days and see like, hey, like, so I reintroduced this that day, and look, now I seem to see a trend of gas and bloating, or I'm breaking out, or different things like that, and can easily track back. Because yes, we are busy, and it's really hard to like think of these things like on recall. So just being able to get it out onto paper and then be able to go back and look at it like kind of like a reference at any point in time is really helpful. I did want to mention too that Sophie Van Tiegelen, the author of the Simple French Paleo book that I've been cooking out of a lot, has come out with a brand new book called The Autoimmune Protocol Made Simple. And I just got this yesterday and I made dinner out of it. You'll see that in a minute. But there's a lot of really good recipes in here that I've seen so far. It's a good overall one, and I can see a lot of recipes that would be family friendly as well. And there's desserts, there's pancakes. This one, the focaccia, rosemary and thyme focaccia, we had this last night for dinner and it was really good. Probably the best AIP bread I've ever had. And yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff in here. So if you're looking for a new book, check this one out. In terms of what I've eaten over the last few days, for breakfast the last few days, every single day, I've had this cauliflower porridge that I got from the 85 Amazing AIP Breakfasts ebook, and not the biggest fan of it, but unfortunately I used a whole entire head of cauliflower for it, so I'm stuck with it for a few days. Ay, ay, ay. Lunch on Wednesday, I had leftover chicken with gravy that I had made on Tuesday night, and then some of the creamy broccoli mash from Simple French Paleo, and some of the leftover crepes from Simple French Paleo. For dinner that night, we had a concert in the park. They had a whole bunch of food trucks and stuff, but we decided to grill up some hot dogs, and I had one of my paleo on the go meals. I had the spinach and mushroom beef lasagna, and it was really good. It tasted like there was cheese in there. There was a point in there, I was talking to somebody while eating it, and I looked down and I was like kind of freaked out. I got that like creeping red like heat feeling down my face, because I was like, oh my god, am I not eating something that's like paleo, even like not even AIP, like is there cheese in this? Freaked me out. But then I looked at the lid and it said, sure enough, it was AIP. So I don't know what they did to make the cheese, but it was really good. I had that with a lime LaCroix water and one of those AIP carob chip cookies. Breakfast was the same as the day before, except this time I had a half of an egg yolk. For the reintroduction, I took a nibble in the very beginning, and then 15 minutes later, I took another nibble, and then 15 minutes later, I ate the rest of the half of the egg yolk. So I had a half of an egg yolk at that point in time. And then after bar, I had to run some errands, so I needed a little bit more of a substantial snack than usual. So I had an epic salmon bar and a banana. For lunch, I had planned ahead, and I had defrosted some clams the night before. So I made a clam dish with some shallots, some little bit of white wine, some chicken broth, and some garlic, and I just steamed the clams in a pan for a couple of minutes. And then I had some of the leftover creamy broccoli mash and crepes. So I did have a snack that day, A, because I had bar, and bar always makes me hungry, but B, because I really had to get these egg yolks in to fully test them out. And so I cracked 3 egg yolks into a bowl, put a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I scrambled it, and then I cooked it in the pan like scrambled eggs. And then I just made up a piece of US Wellness sugar-free bacon as well, and I had that as my snack, and it was really, really good. Oh. I really hope egg yolks work for me. Oh, and a quick note with reintroducing egg yolks. A lot of times it's better to use hard-boiled eggs because it's so much easier to separate the white from the yolk and make sure that you're not cross-contaminating with the whites, because the whites can be allergenic for a lot of people, and that's usually the part that causes problems. So it's better to do that. I did scrambled eggs in the afternoon just because I have been baking forever my whole life, and so I'm pretty adept at getting the yolks and the whites separated, but if you don't have the skills to do that, it's better to just stick with hard-boiled eggs. Dinner last night was from that new book, The Autoimmune Protocol Made Simple, and it was really good. I kind of made a feast. I don't know why. We had some chicken thighs, some bone and skin on chicken thighs out that I planned on doing something else with, but I gave that up and decided to do the honey lime chicken from the book. The book calls for chicken drumsticks, but I didn't have those, so I just used the chicken thighs, and I just cooked them about 5 minutes longer than what it says in the book, and they came out great. Very flavorful. And then there was a sweet potato gratin that I made. I had some arugula, because we have our CSA just started this week, so I had a lot of arugula, and so I put that on a plate and mixed it with the shallot vinaigrette from the book. And then I made that rosemary thyme focaccia as well. It was a great feast. It was just one of those really filling. I was hungry, and it filled me up, and it felt like summer, and oh, it was great. And breakfast this morning was that cauliflower thing again, with an apple sage sausage, which I'm almost out of those. I only have one more left. And then lunch is going to be leftover of the feast from last night. And dinner tonight, I have to run Oso up to the hospital just for a checkup. Don't worry, he's not getting worse. I think he's actually better, but hopefully they're gonna give him a good, clear, like he's doing well kind of report this time. But so I'm gonna probably get back a little late, and so therefore I'm going to have one of my paleo on the go meals. I'm gonna have the chicken pot pie, and I'm gonna make my family chicken nuggets and french fries, or they can make it themselves. I don't care, whatever time I get back. So that's just gonna be our Micnic, Friday Micnic kind of night. Other than that, I've been cooking up a storm because we're going backpacking in a week, and when you go backpacking, you don't want to have heavy food. So I've been dehydrating like crazy, and using Sue from Backcountry Paleo has a lot of AIP recipes that are suitable for backpacking. She even gives instructions on how to dehydrate it and stuff. So I'm testing these things out. But you get to see. Like some of this stuff is just crazy. So I dehydrated mashed sweet potatoes and put some collagen and cinnamon and stuff in them to make sweet potato bowls for the morning. But this is what it looks like. I mean, that's gonna be my breakfast. I'm hoping it's gonna be enough. Like when you pour water in it, it's gonna like expand into something like this big, but it's kind of freaking me out. I made some other meals too that just look really small, but we'll see. I'll definitely have a vlog about that in a couple of weeks so that way you can see that. As always, don't forget to like or subscribe, and you can get your free guide for natural autoimmune relief below. And I do also have a new guide for basically like all of the little elements of AIP kind of made simple for any beginners that are just not familiar with this diet and want to know more. And I have a link to that below as well. I'll see you next week.